how do you get a really smoking hot deal under contract in the game of real estate? My friends, today I'm going to break it down for you. We're going to talk about from contract to closing, everything that happens in between. And I have as guest speaker my Director of Acquisitions, Tyler Bennett, joining me today. We're going to break it all down so that you can start getting your hands on the yummy, yummy properties. So far in the series, Tyler and I have been talking about how do you find the amazing markets? Where are the exact specific markets? What do the deals actually look like? But you know what? If you're still watching, you're probably wondering, how do I get my hands on the action? Like, how do I actually get these deals? And then what happens after I get it? Like, will money magically appear in my bank account, or do I have to do something? So Tyler, let's start breaking it down, what it looks like when someone is ready to buy a property.
Good. Thanks, Kris. So first and foremost, we've got to get the property under contract. Right? We've talked about analyzing the properties, doing the pro formas, but I'm going to take a step back and just talk real quick, where do these properties come from? Because we get them from auctions, we get REOs from banks, we get them on the MLS, we call for sale by owners, we do mailers, we knock doors, every way you can think of to go out and find inventory. We've got teams in the markets going out and doing that inventory. And so once we find something, we underwrite it, the pro forma, it's in the box, check mark, and we want to actually go offer on it, we put the offer out.
If you guys look at my website, we call it the Kris Krohn Power Team. And this is everything that happens behind the scenes that basically tees that up. And that's one part of what's happening.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of hands in the cookie jar that are
Correct.
all doing everything to make that work. It's massive coordination. But on the other side of the fence, it's like, where are the people coming from actually getting these deals? These are primarily what I'm doing with my partners. And then I have a few other ways that I can help my raving fans on YouTube actually get in and start crushing it. That link that's below that we've been mentioning in other videos, that gives you the details. Talk to a member of my team so you can figure out what does it look like for you to get your hands on these amazing deals. Because once you get in my door, then we're going to do pre-qualification with the bank or whose credit we're going to use. And because it doesn't always have to be yours. And once we have you fully lined up and the team's lining up all their deals, then we have this really cool point of intersection called originating the deal.
Yeah.
Right?
So I do want to highlight, you mentioned pre-qualification, and that's part of the offer process. It's important that we have this pre-qualification letter from the bank stating that you have the ability to perform. Sometimes they actually want proof of statements. So we've got bank statements, especially if you're going to buy cash, you've got to have bank statements. And so it's all about positioning the offer to make you, the buyer, look as strong as possible when we present the offer to a seller, because we want to use that to our advantage to negotiate the best price we can.
You guys gotta understand that we lose hot deals all the time, but we also get really hot deals just about every single freaking day. And so there is a science to it. And what Tyler's talking about is that if we've lined up our ducks, the money's sitting where it needs to sit, the pre-qualification is complete, we got the pre-qualification letter, Tyler's team has some really aggressive, edgy tactics on how they go to buyers and present the offer to box everyone else out whenever we can so we can really snatch it. Winning really comes down to being wicked fast.
Yep. Yeah, wicked fast. And I'll also add relationships. And this is part of building that power team. We're going to talk more about that in a little while. But oftentimes we're able to get deals. Our offer doesn't necessarily look any better than the competition's. It's about the same price, about the same closing period, but because we have a relationship with the seller, with the agent, with the bank, whoever it is, because we do so much volume, they know that we're going to close on that transaction. And oftentimes they'll take our offers that are lower priced because they know we're going to perform. And that's a huge advantage to working with us.
People in the game of real estate are looking for certainty. And so when you represent what feels like a conglomerate, even though this is individual buying, they don't view us that way. They view us as big brother stepping in with almost what could feel like a massive organization behind them, a massive fund. And because it's a system, because they see our name everywhere, we do get that preferential treatment.
Yeah. So now let's talk about we go under contract. So we get it.
And I do want to say, Tyler, when you do get the home under contract, if we're using non-auction methods like, for example, MLS, you need to be prepared that if you're on my team or you're a partner of mine, that we're going to often send this to you and say, don't look too hard, just sign the deal. You're not committing up any money. You're not committing to actually buy this home. We just need to see if we can get it. Because a lot of times it's, getting it under contract, and then we need to shore up the numbers with some of their guesstimates of, well, what did the rehab team really think? We thought it was $3,500, but it turns out that it's $5,000. We thought it was $3,500, it's actually $2,500. And that happens. And then sometimes we negotiate the deal better. So to get a deal to stick, it's more important to be fast, but we've done enough research on the numbers that they're often 90+% accurate, which means we're within the realm that there's only once in a while that the numbers come back and we say, we're going to walk.
Yeah, rarely are we going to back out of a deal. And what you just mentioned was due diligence. So all of the contracts have this due diligence period where the sellers are sending their disclosures and we're doing our due diligence. And so that's where we deploy our teams in the market to say, okay, this is what we thought or our best guesstimate of what the rent-ready repairs were going to be. This is the rent range that we think it's going to be in. Okay, Mr. Property Manager, what's the rent that you're going to be able to hit on this property? Okay, rehab team, what really needs to be done and how much is that going to cost? And then, of course, we're doing home inspections. We're hiring a third-party inspector because I want to get a third-party opinion to make sure the property's in the proper condition that we want it to be in. And anything that looks as if that's a surprising number or doesn't match up with what we anticipated it was going to be, then we address it. Sometimes we address it with seller paid closing costs. Sometimes we address it with a price reduction. Sometimes we just cancel the deal. If we uncover something that we're not comfortable with.
You know, when you buy a property and get it under contract, you got to put some skin in the game. It's called earnest money. And that earnest money, in all the deals I've ever done, we've never lost a penny of it because the team is fast, the team is thorough. We've been doing this on thousands of transactions. We've got a track record of history. We know what we're doing. And so you might be asking yourself, well, what do I do during the 30 days that I'm under contract and I'm getting ready to close? First thing, you need to understand that the team is racing against the clock behind the scenes, lining everything up and then presenting information like, hey, we did the inspection and we sifted through. Here are the things that we feel like we should renegotiate, or they'll make us aware of anything else. Your job, my job, we really don't have much to do. We're just hoping that all the numbers line up, everything comes through solid and favorable, and then we're just getting ready to actually close on the deal.
So let me add to that. The property and all those details, the team is handling all of that. And if there's information uncovered, of course, that's getting communicated along the way. But if you are getting a loan, which the majority of the buyers are getting loans, you're working with the loan team to get them the documents that they need. And inevitably, they're going to come back and they're going to ask you for clarification on something. They're going to ask you for more documents. The faster you can be to get them what they ask for, the smoother leading up to closing is going to be.
Now, if we're in partnership with each other, there's a few other things happening. If it hasn't happened already, we're going to finish formalizing our LLC. That basically is the structure that's going to hold the property. We're going to open the business bank account. We're going to get the bank account funded. And then once we buy the property, we'll be setting it up on auto pay. We're going to get the property deeded into the LLC. So there's some things to do, but really once most of that's done and our team's leading the way on all that, really this is designed to not be a job. It's designed to be a true investment. And a true investment is fairly passive in nature. A job requires you to show up and make crap happen. But when really you've got the team, because the same team that's assisting with the acquisitions, once that property closes, that property management team is now showing up and they know what to do. If there's repairs, it comes into the office and we evaluate it and we know what to do. And so most of the work that's happening on the front end to get it bought is the same team that's going to keep doing all that work on the back end to make sure we maintain it and maximize the ROI on this property over time.
And Kris, that process takes about 30 to 35 days, maybe sometimes 25 days, but about a month is what it takes to go from contract to close. And I really like what you just said is the same team's working on this. And so when we send in people to say, what's this going to rent for? Or what are the rent ready repairs that need to happen? It's the same people that are actually going to be doing it and we can hold them accountable. So it's a good checks and balance to make sure that we're not having projections here and actuals here. Right. We're right in line with it because we get to hold everybody accountable that's on the team for those numbers. Well, that's an important part of it.
I can't emphasize this enough. I mean, the way that you win in real estate is when you command volume, because it's, you can only make so much on one deal, but when you're dealing with 20 deals or 100 deals or 500 deals or 1,000 deals, the dynamic with the greater the volume shifts and changes everything. Usually the only way you access a team like Tyler's and mine's is if you're part of some hedge fund that's doing their 2 and 20, they're eating up a lot of the other money in fees, and there's a return coming to you. It is totally hands off, but the reality is it's in fund mode, which means there's not a lot for you. We're playing the fund game with leaving 100% of the ownership on the table for the actual partners and keeping the funds and the fees so minimized that you're focusing on repeat. How do I do it again? Third home, fourth home. I think of like Paul Olson. We just bought our fourth home together. We're getting our next 200 contract, going to have 12 by the end of the year. And really that's what moves you in the direction of financial freedom. It's not doing a deal. Your success is not in doing a deal. It's in having a system where that deal turns into 5, turns into 10, turns into 100. And that's really what we're launching here is legacies of families that are saying, this is the way that we play. I don't have to spend all of my time playing in the business where I'm going to pull out my hair and make my life. I got a competent team, frankly, that is better trained, more experienced. They're going to do a better job than I am. And that all comes down to this philosophy. If you want something done right, don't do it yourself. You have a team of experts show up and do it for you. So that's why we patterned it. Even though I'm the expert and you're the expert, even though we can do a lot of this, just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Absolutely.
So we, in our personal investing life, we surround ourselves with the exact same team that makes all this go down the same way for us so that we can keep our sanity, or in other words, focus our attention on really where it needs to be. So Tyler, anyone else, any other advice for anyone that's looking at, getting into contract and moving to closing? Anything else you think they should know?
Really, I think it just comes down to the team. If you have a competent team, like you said, the property details are all taking care of itself. We're working with the title company behind the scenes, and there's a lot of moving pieces, appraisers, right? A lot of moving pieces, and who's changing the locks, right? The day after they close, right? Are our clients thinking about those details? No, because we're just handling it. We're doing all those details. So we have the property taken care of. You focus on the lending side and get things over to the loan officers. And beyond that, we're handling everything.
Awesome. My friends, thank you, Tyler. And thank you guys all so much for watching today. Hopefully this was super useful for you. At this point, you got to be thinking, man, who wouldn't be thinking, I want a team like that to freaking back me up? I mean, it is my team. You got the same thing, right? Yeah. But if you're thinking, you know what, I need a game plan. I need to know a solid way to get into the game of real estate. I need to learn how to put my money to work, or I need to figure out how to get some money so I can put it to work. If you have questions on any of those things, I've got my trained staff. They're my personal assistants that I spend tons of time personally training so I can be in multiple places at once. They will actually do exactly what I would do with you. They'd put myself in your shoes and say, wow, if I had to become a multimillionaire with where you're at, how would I do it? What would my steps look like? And so if you click the link in the description below, you're going to get everything that you need along those lines. You're going to learn about partnering, all your different options. So check it out, see if it's a match. But I think the valuable take-home lesson, Tyler, that I heard from you today is, however you're going to do it, have a competent team. You got an option here, but you might have another one. So good luck figuring that out. Make sure you subscribe. We'll see you in tomorrow's video.